In the first section, we have seen that light is considered as wave as proposed by Christian Huygens. And initially, people thought that light is like a mechanical wave. So the characteristics of a mechanical wave like wavelength, period, frequency, phase, everything was characteristic of light wave also. So now let's see what is wavefront. So when you drop a pebble into the water surface, you can see ripples. So this is like a two-dimensional case where the ripples expands in all the xy directions, that is along the surface of the water. So this is one kind of a wavefront. There is a point disturbance, that is a falling of a dropping of pebble onto the surface. So that is a point disturbance, and the disturbance expands like ripples. Similarly, if you consider a point source as a light source, there also you can see that the light will be expanding in all the directions. It is not restricted along the surface. It will be emanating or advancing in all direction. So if you check the as in the case of ripples, which was circular, in the case of light source, it is having a spherical wavefront. So that is the difference. And what is a wavefront? So wavefront is those points, that is combining those points which are at the same state of vibration. So that means if a light advances from the bulb, this direction, if you check in this direction at a particular time, say this time, the light or the particle at this moment will be experiencing one kind of vibration due to the presence of light wave. Similarly, the light proceeding in this direction will cause a disturbance similar to what is expected here in this point also, and this will continue, and hence if you join those points we'll get a spherical wavefront. Okay, because it is in a three-dimensional case, we get a spherical wavefront, while on the surface we'll get a circular wavefront. So we can consider propagation of wave as advancing of wavefront rather than the wave motion. We can consider it as advance of wavefront. So here you can see ripples distinctly, right? So each ripple, what we are observing is the crest of the wave, while followed by the trough as a depression, again a crest, again a depression. So we have already mentioned that the distance between two consecutive crests is the wavelength, isn't it? So here we can see the first wavefront and the second wavefront. So what will be the distance between two wavefront? Yeah, it is the distance between two consecutive crests itself. What is that? It is one wavelength. So each wave surface will be separated by one wavelength. Okay. Now there is one more concept. We have already known that what is a ray? Ray is a direction, a straight line denoting the direction of propagation of light. That was a definition we know so far, but with respect to the wavefront, you can define ray as any line drawn perpendicular to a wavefront can be considered as a ray, and it again shows the direction in which the wavefront is advancing. Now if you consider a point source like sun, and what is a specialty in comparison with light bulb? Light bulb is closer to us, while sun is at a very large distance from us. So but sun is again a point source, So we'll be getting wavefronts, spherical wavefront, but once it reaches us, which is very far from us, isn't it? So once it reaches us, we'll be only be able to see very small portion of the entire wavefront. Big wavefront. You have spherical wavefront. Adinde only one part of a small portion of the spherical wavefront is reaching us, and which will be a plane. You know, a very small portion of a sphere will be a flat surface, isn't it? Because if you can consider the analogy with Earth. Earth is supposed to be a globular one, right? But do we feel the curveness of the globular structure of the Earth? That is, if you walk along, will you feel that you are going to fall down due to the curveness of the globular structure of Earth? No. Why? Because we are occupying a very small portion of the Earth, and which is a flat surface. Similarly, the wavefront reaching us from the sun is very small portion of the spherical wavefront, which appears to be plane wavefront. So, for a plane wavefront, what is the speciality? The intensity at every other point will be reaching at the same instant, isn't it? So the amplitude and hence the intensity will be constant over the long distance. While in this case, if you are standing here, what happens? The light along the perpendicular direction, along the ray direction, will be reaching us first, while this one will be delayed by some amount, and this one will be delayed by another amount, isn't it? So as we move away from the source, in a spherical case, we feel that the light intensity will be less. But for a plane wavefront, all there won't be any phase difference or time delay between the points, and hence it will have a same amplitude. So when we consider transverse wave, what is speciality? The particle, or that is, if you can consider a string attached at one end and the other end is in your hand. If you move the string up and down, you can see a wave is proceeding along the string, isn't it? But is the string itself is moving forward? No. Each point in the string is just executing up and down motion. It is not moving along. Okay. And what is moving along? A wave nature is moving along the string. So such kind of wave is called a transverse wave, where the particle will be moving only to and fro. It won't move along the direction of the wave. Okay. So such kind of wave is called transverse wave. And light is considered to be a traveling wave. And for a traveling wave, as we have mentioned earlier, it will consist of harmonic motion of series of points. See, the wave motion has been periodically repeating along the propagation, and that nature is called harmonic motion of series of points. And the points in the medium will be different state of oscillation at different time. We have seen it. And the displacement of a particle in the medium can be considered as a function of space as well as function of time. Why that so? If you check the one particular point, say red point, it at one particular time it will be at different location, isn't it? So the vibration of a particle in a transverse wave motion can be different with respect to the distance as well as with respect to the time. So we can make use of a mathematical expression to formulate this dependence, and the displacement y, that is displacement of a particle up and down, y, is indicated as the maximum displacement given by amplitude. Sine, which is a wave nature, can be represented using a sine wave or a cos wave. So sine k, it is the wave vector into x minus vt. Okay. Okay. So it represents a traveling wave or progressing wave. So what are the features of a traveling wave? As we have mentioned, in a mechanical wave, it will be monochromatic, only one wavelength. The wavelength between, that is the distance between the crest, successive crests, will remain the same. It won't be changing. Okay, so it will be monochromatic plane wave. Plane wave in the sense the intensity will be constant or amplitude will be constant. Continuous train of waves, that is infinite extension. The wave will be proceeding for a infinite time, and this is what we call as an ideal wave, which we can represent using a expression given by this, where amplitude or displacement of a particle at any time is given by amplitude A into sine of 2 pi by lambda, which is can be expressed in wave vector or in terms of lambda, into x minus vt. So we can again check what is the definition of light wave. Light is considered as a disturbance of electric and magnetic field, isn't it? And like all waves, it can also be described as having peak, that is crest, trough, frequency, wavelength, amplitude, and it transfers energy. So if we check the electromagnetic spectrum, the visible light constitutes only very small portion of the entire spectrum. Here you can see the visible light, which is visible to us. All other waves in the electromagnetic spectrum are not visible to us. Okay. So what are the features of an ideal wave? Monochromatic, harmonic wave of infinite extension, and the amplitude will be constant, and hence the intensity will be the same. And another point to be noted is that plane polarized. That is, we have mentioned that electric and magnetic vectors will be the vibrating with respect to each other, but the direction of vibration can be in any of the direction, isn't it? If you consider around, that is 360 degree directions are possible, but for an ideal wave, the vibration will be confined in only one direction, and that kind of wave is called plane polarized wave. And another point to be noticed is that there is a fixed relationship between phase of the wave at a given time and at a certain time after, and also between 2 points at certain distance apart. So if you consider any two instances T1 and T2, there might be a phase, that is the state of vibration may be related in one way. Also, we can take two distances x1 and x2. If you consider the amount of displacement or the state of vibration, there also it may be a relationship. And these were the features of ideal wave. But when you look at in the practical case, no real light sources emit such an ideal wave. That is, no real light sources can emit a monochromatic single wavelength wave, harmonic wave of infinite extension, that is infinite wave, and amplitude may damp, it may vary, and it may not be plane polarized also. But only with the advance of discovery of laser beam, we are able to get a monochromatic ideal wave. So why no light sources emit an ideal wave? What could be the reason? Any guess? For that, you have to think about how a light is emitted from a light source. Do you recognize this personality? Yes, it is Niels Bohr. So Niels Bohr considered that the light will be emitted out of a light source or an atom. How it is emitted? An atom already in an excited state, when it comes down, it will be emitting the extra energy and coming to the lower energy state. So the emitted energy will be in the form of light energy, and that is how you get a light from a source. But is it a single atom in a light source? No, there will be billions of atoms present in a light source, isn't it? So will they be all coming down or de-excited in the same instant? No. Each atom will be de-excited at random manner, which means one atom at T1, the other atom at T2. So the light emitted from each of them will be in a random way. So this randomness will lead to a phase difference between the light emitted from one atom and the other atom. Okay, and hence we cannot get a constant phase difference between those two atoms. That is the light emitted from any two atoms. So this is the case with any real light sources. Okay, and hence what you get will be like a light burst. So from an atom you'll get a light, and once it reaches the ground state, there is no emission. Again it has to go to the excited state. So there is a state when there is no light is obtained, and after that it will again de-excite and will again get a light burst. So intermittent light burst will be obtained, and hence we can consider the light from a light source as a wave train, and hence it will not be infinitely long. It will be just periodic, but example of finite wave trains obtained from each emission from each atom. So this is what we expect if it was a infinite extension, wave of infinite extension. But what you are getting is, once the atom is in the ground state or it is going to the excited state, there is no light. Once it de-excited, you'll get a light emission. Then the atom has come to the ground state. Again, there is no light, and this is what we call it as light burst. For a particular time, you'll get a light, while in other case, it will be off. And hence we can consider the light wave as of finite length rather than infinite length as we have thought of. So depending upon the amplitude, the light can be of different nature, the waves can be of different nature, and also depending upon the wavelength also, the wavelength can also be different. So we can consider these are the light wave trains emitted by each atom. So many number of wave trains will be emitted, and what we obtain will be a superposition or the combination of all these light waves. So what you get will be a pattern like this rather than a constant wave as we have thought of. What you get from the light source will be a pattern like this, and it is called wave packet. So wave packet is obtained due to the addition of number of harmonic waves which difference each other by infinitesimal increment of wavelength. That means the wavelength between them will be slightly differing, and if you add up all those harmonic waves, what you get will be like this, which is called wave packet. So hence we need to consider phase difference as an important parameter now, because the wave emitted from each atom may be in phase, or it can be out of phase, or it can be at any delay between them. Any of the phase difference is possible. So here if you consider these two atoms, these two wave trains, here we can see that at every instant at time t1, this wave also has crest, this also has crest. At time t2, this wave has a trough and this has a trough. That means at every instant we consider the light is having, the wave train is having the same nature. Such kind of wave is called in phase waves. While here, if you consider this moment, this wave has crest while the other has trough. At this point, the first wave has trough and the second wave has crest. Okay, so every time the opposite of the wave nature is coming up, isn't it? So such kind of phase difference is said to be out of phase. The two waves are said to be out of phase. But what you can see is that throughout the motion or throughout the time, the phase different, whatever be the phase, it can be in phase or out of phase, it is maintained throughout the motion. That is, we can consider it as constant phase difference is the. Okay, we are not mentioning about same, we are mentioning about the term constant. What do you mean by constant? It will be the same throughout a period of time. That is what you mean by constant. Okay, so that term is very important. A constant phase difference, whatever be the phase difference, it is maintained throughout the motion. Here also it was out of phase, it is maintaining that out of phase between each other. Okay, so that is called constant phase difference. That is, if you can consider the case of a running race. If you consider running race, one person will be speeding up than the other one, but will that be, the gap will be always the same? No, the faster person may be moving very fast, and the difference between any faster person and a last person will be different, isn't it? So as the time progress, as the first person approaches the finish line, the last person would be at a different point. So the difference between those two person will be varying in a 100-meter race. But if you consider a 400-meter race, it can be seen that it is more or less, initially there will be a difference, then afterwards you will be maintaining almost the same distance between the first person and the second person. Okay, so there you can say a much more constant nature is there, isn't it? So similarly, so the constant phase difference will leads to same frequency. We'll be counting a wave at the same pace. Okay, so that is what you mean by coherence. So if any two or more waves maintains a constant phase difference, then those waves are said to be coherent. Okay, just between any two waves, you can have any amount of phase difference. It need not be same ആയിരിക്കണമെന്നില്ല, out of phase ആയിരിക്കണമെന്നില്ല. It can be 45 degree, it can be 90 degree, it can be 270, whatever be the phase difference, it has to be maintained throughout the motion. Then it is called coherent. So here you can see at the origin, at the time 0, each waves were having a crest. Okay, And if you consider another time t, what happens? The first wave is showing a crest again. It has maintained a crest again. But what about here? We are seeing a different portion of a wave. What about here? For the last wave, we are seeing a trough here. Okay. Now if we again consider another one more point over here, which is again the crest of the first wave. Now the second wave have a trough and the third wave has got crest. Not crest, going to the crest. So what you can infer from this picture is that these waves doesn't have any constant phase difference, while in this case, whichever be the time instant we are considering, each will be showing or maintaining the same phase difference what was there at an earlier time. Here also at an if you consider the point 0 or here, it was crest and trough. At another point again it is crest and trough. At another point it is again crest and trough. But here these waves are, initially they had a phase difference, but it is not maintaining throughout the motion, and those waves are said to be incoherent, while these waves are said to be coherent, which can maintain the phase difference constant. And constant phase difference will lead to the frequency, same frequency. Okay, so here you can see an in phase wave is there. You cannot separately see out the waves. There is a blue line, violet line, purple line and a pink line. Because they are in phase, every time they will be having the same nature. But if we split it out, those waves, if they were out of phase, we can see. But throughout the motion they are maintaining that difference. Here also it is completely out of phase. Throughout the motion they are maintaining the difference. So you can explain coherence as any two waves must be maintaining constant phase difference between them throughout the motion. So again, coming back to our concept, as mentioned by a light emitted by an atom, when the atom is in the ground state or going into the excited state, there is no emission. Once it de-excites, you get a light emission. Again, there is no emission as atom is in the ground state and it is going to the excited state. Once it de-excites, you get a light wave. So it is pulses of or light burst are obtained in between. So the wave train of finite length with certain limited number of oscillation. You can consider the light emitted from an atom as wave train of finite length, very small length, isn't it? It is not infinitely progressing, but it has finite length with limited oscillation. So adding together similar trains, what you get will be a pattern like this of varying amplitude. And here you can see that the wave is progressing like this, but suddenly after this we would expect a trough, but what we are getting is that it is moving. There is a break here. It is not a continuous wave, and after that again the wave will start. So there is a break in phase at that point. So the distance up to the break in phase is said to be a coherence length or coherence time. In terms of time you call it as coherence time, or in terms of distance you call it as coherence length. So after superposition of the wave trains of finite length, what you get will be a succession of wave trains with phases distributed randomly. The phase at this point will not be same as the phase at this point. That is what you mean by random distribution of phase. It is not a continuously progressing wave, but there is break of phase in between. So the two waves can be coherent for a maximum time of about 10 raised to minus 8 seconds. Why that time? It is the time taken for an atom to get into the excited state and get de-excited. So any two light waves can be coherent within that emission of light. So then you have to define coherence time and coherence length. So what is coherence time? As we have mentioned, it is a time interval during which the phase of the wave train can be predicted reliably. That means, നമ്മളിവിടെ ഒരു ഇൻസ്റ്റൻ്റ് എടുത്തു, ഒരു പെർട്ടിക്കുലർ ടൈം കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി അഗെയിൻ ക്രെസ്റ്റ്, സെയിം ടൈം കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി അഗെയിൻ ക്രെസ്റ്റ്, അഗെയിൻ ദ സെയിം ഇൻ്റർവൽ എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അഗെയിൻ ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി ക്രെസ്റ്റ്. Okay, so it is the time duration in which the phase of a wave train can be predicted reliably. But if you move on to the next, after the phase break, അടുത്ത സെറ്റിലേക്ക് പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ the phase cannot be, നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് വേവിൽ പറഞ്ഞിരുന്ന പോലെ ഒരു പോയിൻറ്റിൻ്റെയും അടുത്ത പോയിൻറ്റിൻ്റെയും ഫേസ് നമുക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. So due to the presence of phase break. So it is a time duration within which the phase of a wave can be mentioned reliably. Similarly, coherence length can be defined as it is the length of the wave train over which it may be assumed to have sinusoidal, continuous, predictable phase. Well, after that, after the phase break point, it will have a different nature. Okay, so the coherence time is between length is between these 2 points, between two phase breaks which have a sinusoidal, continuous, predictable phase nature. And you can relate coherence time and coherence length. Length is taken as velocity of light in vacuum c into time coherence. That you already, distance is equal to velocity into time. So similarly, coherence length is given by velocity of light in vacuum into coherence time. So there are two terms to be discussed initially before we move on to the interference. Point is optical path. So far we have been discussing about distance between two paths, but now onwards we will be talking in terms of optical path. Optical path is designated as delta. It is given by n into lambda. That is, how many number of wave length are there in a given distance. It could be an integer. Full wave ene complete cheyanamilla. It could be like from the point where you are sitting to the wall in your room, there is a distance you can see. And if you consider between those two distance, those 2 points, if you consider a wave is moving from yourself to the wall, it could be a complete wave, like for example 3 waves are 3 wavelength are there between you and the wall, or it could be 4 waves, or it could be 5 waves, or it could be 2.5 waves. ഒരു വേവ് കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ആയി അടുത്ത വേവ് വന്നു, നെക്സ്റ്റ് വേവിൻ്റെ ക്രസ്റ്റ് വരെ എത്തുന്നുള്ളൂ, then it is 2.5. Okay. It is related to the geometrical length as distance ആയിട്ട് റിലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ്. This particular relation it is given by refractive index into length. So മീഡിയം ഏതാണോ ആ മീഡിയത്തിനനുസരിച്ചിട്ട് the number of waves will be different. So more number of waves will be accommodated in a optical path, and it can also be considered as an equivalent distance in vacuum. So we'll be talking in terms of optical path rather than the geometrical distance. നമ്മൾ മെഷർ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഡിസ്റ്റൻസിനാണ് നമ്മൾ സ്കെയിൽ വെച്ചിട്ട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ടേപ്പ് വെച്ചിട്ട് മെഷർ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് ആണ് ഈ L. ഡെൽറ്റ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒപ്റ്റിക്കൽ പാത്താണ്. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി refractive index times the geometrical length, and delta will be, capital delta will be determining the phase of light. Another point to be noted is that if the light falls on a surface, it will get reflected, right? But if it is falling from rarer medium to a denser medium interface, there will be a change of pi. What does that mean? It is, if a crust is incident on the a rarer, that is air glass interface, it will be reflected back as trough. Crust ആണെങ്കിൽ pi 180 degree ചേഞ്ച് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ എന്തായിട്ട് മാറും? ട്രഫ് ആയിരിക്കും reflected back. While if you are moving from, if the light is moving from a denser medium to rarer medium, there won't be any change. Crust ആണ് വന്ന് റിഫ്ലക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ തിരിച്ചു വരുന്നതും crust തന്നെയായിരിക്കും. You can consider the situation as you are going and hitting on a wall. Going and hitting on a wall. എന്ത് സംഭവിക്കും? നിങ്ങളുടെ ഫേസ് മാറും അല്ലേ? നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും പരിക്ക് പറ്റും. ഓടിപ്പോയി ഹിറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് എന്തെങ്കിലും പറ്റും. So similarly, that is because the wall is harder than air, right? Similarly, light when falls on a harder surface and get reflected, harder in the sense denser surface, denser medium interface, then what you get will be a 180 degree phase change. While in this case, here also 180 degree phase difference is there. But if you are thinking that you are going and hitting on a water wall, ഒരു എയർ ഇൻഫ്ലേറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള വോളോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു വാട്ടർ നിറച്ച് വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വാട്ടർ ബെഡിലേക്കാണ് നിങ്ങൾ പോയി ഹിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ, വിൽ ദാറ്റ് കോസ് എനി വൂണ്ട് ഓർ ഇഞ്ചുറീസ് ടു യു? നോ. So similarly, you can consider such an analogy. When the light is moving from denser and hitting on a rarer medium, there won't be any change in pi, any change in phase, while there will be a 180 degree phase. Pi is in terms of radians and 180 is in terms of degrees. That is the difference. Pi radians change for the rarer to denser interface, while the reflection from denser to rarer interface doesn't have any difference in phase. This is the point you have to remember before we move on to the interference. The first point is that instead of considering the geometrical length, we will be considering in which medium it is moving in. That is, refractive index will have to be considered, and hence a term optical power. Second point is that if the light is getting reflected from a rarer to denser interface, there will be a change in phase of 180 degree or pi radians, and if it is getting reflected from denser to rarer medium interface, then there will be no change. Hope you have understood. Thank you.